It's time for the 32081 Scoreboard Show. Let's recap the latest weekly scores and highlights from around the county.
And that's right, I'm the Todd, and as always, joining me right here on the 32081 Scoreboard Show is Mr. Anthony Richards from the Ponte Vedra Recorder. Anthony, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, Todd. Ready for some playoff time. You know?
Well, we got a couple playoffs going on here. We're going to talk about it in just a second. But first of all, I want to make sure everyone is aware. A very nice young lady, Lily Strohmeyer, was injured in an accident earlier this year. And the Palm Valley Academy Bobcats cheerleaders are pairing up with Hybrid Cheer. It's just right around the corner here from Nocatee. And they're going to be doing a fundraiser where the proceeds go to help out the Strohmeyers. That's November 19th. Be sure to go check out PVA. That's Palm Valley Academy Bobcats Cheerleaders. They're on Instagram. They're on Facebook. Taylor Beamer does a great job with that program. And if you have someone that would like to get their tumbling, cheer skills, stunting, it might be a great open gym and it goes to a great cause. The other thing, Anthony, is a lot of these young men that are playing for Ponte Vedra, Creekside, Nease, they all got their start in St. Johns County Middle School football. So I was talking to Shannon Pfeiffer, who's one of the commissioners for football, and he was telling me that this Wednesday, November 8th, starting at 5 o'clock, Murray is going to be taking on Gamble. And then at 7, Pine Island Academy, only in their second year, Pine Island is going to be taking on Patriot Oaks. And those two games are happening at Menendez. And then at Bartram at 5, Passetti is going to be taking on Swiss Point. And VRA and Milk Creek clash at 7 o'clock. So there's going to be some good football players out there that we hopefully will see on a Friday night like we have coming up in the playoffs this week.
Nice. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of the varsity coaches will be paying attention because those are guys that will be coming down the pipeline in the next couple of years.
You know what's funny is that when they have them at the high schools, because some of the middle school games get played at the high schools during the year, you kind of see the coaching staff kind of just hang around after their practice, check things out a little bit, which is kind of cool. It's really cool for the middle school kids, and it helps the high school programs out too.
Oh, yeah.
So let's start. You know what? Let's save the doozy for last. Let's start with the Creekside Ponte Vedra game. Okay, I'm going to save Nease for later because district champions right there. We'll wrap up with them after this game. But talking about Ponte Vedra Creekside, I know you and I were texting about this over the weekend and today about it. Where did Creekside's defense come from, and where have they been all year?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it seems like maybe they finally found something out. Found that consistency they've been looking for, and I mean, it's perfect time, right? In playoff time, and the defense, wins championships, they say. So, I mean, if they've already, we know how good their offense is. If they've got just, little cases of where the defense can grab that consistency and, not throw their offense, back out on the field, and, it's going to be might mean some good things for them, especially playoff time.
But here's what was interesting to me. They only allowed Ponte Vedra 21 points. They scored 26. It came down to the end, okay, which it seems to be that's what we all want to do here in St. Johns County, right? Let's just take it down to the last minute, with all these games that we have going on. But we knew. I'm not surprised, are you, Anthony, that the Ponte Vedra defense was able to hold Sean Ashtonfelder in the offense to 26 points because we've talked about it. They put up a ton of points, but they also give up a lot of points, and it had to be a shootout. I wasn't really shocked by the defense. The defense played really good against this Creekside team that has their offense is kind of high-powered, and they kept them in check.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Ponte Vedra's defense, they've been doing that all year, and it's still no surprise when they do it. They if you score 30 points on them, that's you got to remember that game because it doesn't happen very often. And so I figured they would be able to slow Creekside down. I just figured, Ponte Vedra with their offense, the way it can click, that they would be able to, just pretty much kind of, handle business and eventually, pull the game away there in the second half. But no, Creekside hung tough. Give it to them. Their playoff hopes for both teams were on the line. Sometimes that brings it out of you. That you find something that you've been looking for all year, but now like your playoff life is on the line, and you lay it all out, and some good things happen.
Did you feel I caught that game on I always get the acronym backwards. NFHS is what. Oh, there we go. It seemed like to me, Brian Case did a good job running the ball, Ben Burke as well. But it seemed like there was just something that seemed like Coach McGuire over at Creekside that was doing that just was kind of confusing the Ponte Vedra offense and not allowing them to get into a rhythm to me. That's what it looked like to me. It wasn't that Ponte Vedra played bad. Not at all. It's just like they couldn't play their style of football. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's just what it looked like to me.
Yeah, and again, like also going towards the defense kind of for Creekside really kind of finally showing out. It might be just be that they're PV is a good matchup for them. Like maybe they make life a little difficult for PV because their style of play just matches what PV wants to do. Some teams they're just like that. Some teams you just can't. It's like, why can't we beat this team? We control all the games, and then this team for some reason gives us trouble. So that it may be that's the case, and that's why the defense stood up so much, and it kind of stood out for Creekside is because maybe they just match up favorably with what PV wants to do. Sometimes it just falls that way.
Now, as you said, Creekside was trying to get into the playoffs. Well, they're in the playoffs, and they're playing Ponte Vedra. We're just flipping the side of US1. So going into this, here comes Ponte Vedra. We've been talking about them all season being like, this is business. We're going into business, whatever. They lost to Nease, which is a heartbreaker. They lose to Creekside, which is a heartbreaker. But now they're coming back home. Do you think this is a rut they have to get out of? Or do you think it's something they say, okay, now it's the playoffs, it's 0-0, nobody's up. We just got to win and play our game. Do you think this actually will help Ponte Vedra turn it around? Or is there a risk that they could be down from this 2-game losing streak and possibly see Creekside come in for a victory?
Yeah, I think, obviously, they're probably, they're kind of wondering, searching, because, they haven't lost 2 games in a row all year. And now it comes at in the most crucial time of the year. So they probably, do a little reassessing, kind of just looking inside, thinking, what can I do better, as an individual player, or what can we do better as a unit? So you kind of, go back to the drawing board a little bit. You don't have to fully, start over because, it's not that bad, but the playoffs do kind of, it's a new season, it's the second season. So it's kind of, you're 0-0, you're ready to just, wipe the slate clean, and also helps that I think that they play Creekside again because no matter what level, it's tough to beat a team twice,
Yeah,
it just
ask the Jaguars, right? Trying to beat the Titans 3 times that one year, and it's very tough.
Exactly. Like just the odds, history tells that second meeting, the team that lost the first time actually does kind of have a unique advantage, and plus they're playing at home as well, so that the Sharks have that going for them this time. So I think I would definitely favor the Sharks just because of all that.
And the one thing that I found interesting when looking at the stats, though, it seemed like to me the difference in this game, and actually against Nease too, was that when you look at it, Nease was really able to keep their rushing game intact with, I think Nease allowed somewhere around 116 and Creekside allowed 128. Other than that, they were pretty much close to 200, except for the first game. Sorry, Barton Trail held them to 100. But Brian Case is an excellent running back. And, Ben Burke, obviously, with his feet, too. Do you see them really trying to bust open that running game compared? I've always talked about that they've got these great receivers, but going up against Creekside, if they can somehow solve how Creekside was able to hold them to that number rushing, that possibly they try to go back to that. If they can get back to that, it seems like they're more balanced, and then Brian Case just goes on a tear. I can see that happening. Because he's just ready to break out any time.
Yeah, definitely. Brian, it's hard to keep Brian down, for long. It really doesn't happen at all.
It's hard to keep him down. It's hard to get him down to begin with.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Because he runs with just this intensity, that just certain backs do, and he's one of them, locally that runs with that. It's like every time he gets the ball, he's one of those guys that falls forward. You stop him for a 3-yard gain, he ends up getting 6 because it always falls for those extra 2 or 3 yards. You're never hardly dropping him for a loss. I'm sure Ponte Vedra will go straight to that because, the balance, it comes, in the passing game and all, it comes from the running game. It starts because of play action, sucking the defense in, and then Burke can kind of, throw over the top and uses, the speedy receivers can get by the secondary. So it starts and ends with Brian and the offensive line, creating those holes for him to run through. So, it's their bread and butter. So I truly believe they're going to go straight back to it and just, hoping that it's a different outcome and to find more success like they have all year.
All right, so now let's go over and talk about Nease. 2-8 last year, Anthony. They're now 7-3, district champions, the first time since 2007. They do it with a younger defense, in my opinion. Something changed in the Fletcher game. At that halftime, something's just flipped. I don't know what it is, but they came out on a tear. And when they played Tocoi, they come away with a 47-27 victory. Actually, it's probably more like 20 because that last touchdown was scored, at the end of the game. But All the credit to the offense with Bryce Frick and Braden Felder and Maddox and Tyler Gazenfari and the offensive line with DeMarco and Brandon Strout. This defense really showed what they're going to be like in the playoffs against Decoy, in my opinion.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's the definition of flipping the switch. 'Cause, when you go from one extreme to the other, because the defense, started in the middle of the season, they started to really show what they're doing now. They started to really frustrate teams and opponents that they were faced up against. But then they went through a couple shootouts there, and then you're like, is this I know they had, they were battling injuries. It's kind of like, are they kind of reverting back to, last year's defense, which had struggles of, closing lanes, and just, it looked like, every time they ran the ball or threw the ball, it was like chunk plays, 7 yards, 8 yards. And so it was like, then you have the bye week, you can kind of reassess. And now they truly did. They come back and they look like a totally different, but in some ways it's the same defense that you saw earlier, but it's like, where'd it go? And now it's back. And and they're flying around. They're popping. The pads are popping. Mm-hmm. It's just, it is truly, it's really fun to watch. Like, you can see the speed when you're down the field, and it's just, it wasn't quite there for a couple of weeks, and now they've recaptured it in a big way.
Yeah, and one of the things you talk about the defense, they're doing it on both sides. What I mean by both sides, I'm talking about the linebackers and defensive line getting pressure on the quarterback and the backs. Mm-hmm. But me, I love the secondary. Kirill Carter and Elijah Luck, I've told you, those are two fun players I've just enjoyed watching. And it was like, one of the things I found a little amusing was that Decoy said, okay, fine, we're not going to test, their corners that much on the outside. They try to come over the middle. And I know you were there. Kirill Carter has some beautiful pass breakups over the middle, just stayed with his guy. It was fantastic. And then you got Elijah Luck at saying, I think I want to finish with one more interception. Why not? And he puts it up there. But the other thing too was that Cade Papineau also played very well in the secondary, because there was that real long play that he and Kirill was able to shut down. But I guess what I'm saying there, it seems like, as they're going to host this first round in the quarterfinals with Niceville, I'm liking how the secondary could match up against the passing attack from Niceville.
I do too. Yeah. Those guys, when they're on, like you said, it's like glue, it's like they've got glue on their jersey. It's like they're just sticking to the guy. And it's almost like, there's no separation at all. And as a quarterback, it's gotta be frustrating, because you're like, just give me a little bit of a window to throw in. Come on. So, and they're there, they're reaching around to, not getting a penalty, but reaching around and knocking balls down for pass defense. It's just, their technique is just spot on. It's
you don't see a lot of that until college, Anthony. I was thinking I know the one that Kirill had was sick. It was like, I think he had one or two where he got his hand in there at just the right time, and I'm sitting there going, that's a college play right there.
Yeah, exactly. These are guys that they know their position. It's like, and you don't see that type of like work of, players like working on their craft and all that at the high school level necessarily. And it's pretty special. You recognize it when you see it.
So, against Ponte Vedra, we have Bryce Frick has a story moment there, going back and getting the victory, and he was a quarterback there. Now, I don't know. Did you happen to realize Cam Smith in the game at all against Decoy? Did you happen to see him at all? I don't know.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Just a little, like 5 touchdowns, maybe.
Yeah.
And KJ, hopefully he'll be okay, because KJ was running real well too, and then he had that hamstring. You could see him pull up on that one play. Yeah. But I was so happy for Cam this game, senior night, what he's gone through with injuries, how much he's put into this program, to come out with 5 touchdowns. And some of his runs were beautiful, Anthony. It was like, I think on one of the ones down, I think it was his second one down the left side, if you saw it, he had like 4 or 5 missed tackles on that, and he stayed in bounds. He's looking like he's 100%. And again, I think the running game with KJ and Cam is going to be pretty fun to watch against Niceville.
Yeah, that was it was a routine, like 100%. That's a Cam game, where he's like making guys miss in the open field, and just like basically looking like a video game at times. Like he's got it's like a joystick, and you're just spinning around and making guys miss and turning on the afterburners. And then the 4th touchdown, and then he caught one as well. So he's got 5 touchdowns. One heck of a senior night. That's the way you dream. As a kid. Growing up, just starting the game, you're thinking, oh, one day I'm going to finish my high school career. It's going to be special. I mean, that's how you make it special. You score 5 touchdowns.
I mean, it seems like it's like a storybook for all the seniors. You look at DeMarco, you look at Bryce, you look at it just seems like a storybook. And then they get their first district title since 2017, and now or since 2007. And then also to mention, Colin Drafts gets Coach of the Week by one of the media outlets, publications here in Florida, which was fantastic for him. But one of the things I did notice Tacoy did, and I want to get your opinion on this with Niceville, they had a lot of man-to-man on Maddox. And when they did that, it seemed like it opened it up a little bit more for Braden Felder, and also Tyler Gazanfari had a big catch there for a first down, I believe it was. And what I wanted to ask you was, do you see Niceville with their defense continuing to try to go man-to-man, man up on Maddox? But then if they do that, because I know that Maddox didn't get free a lot because of some – I thought there were some holding penalties there, but I'm not going to say anything, not going to criticize. But do you think Niceville is going to try to double team him, or do you think they might actually say, hey, let's see if we can square up directly with them one-on-one?
Yeah, that's a good question. And that's the question that a lot of defense coordinators have had to ask themselves, and I'm sure they're going to they go to sleep the night before the game still wondering and thinking, am I making the right choice? Should I change it up? Should we do a little bit of both? Kind of play like a kind of a hybrid, like man at times, combo at times. Really, it's just the type of player Maddox is that puts you in that situation where it's like, either way, he's going to burn you eventually. But either way, you can also defend it at times, but then you open it up for the other guys. It's going to be interesting to see what Niceville does, because Maddox has kind of shown he can find ways to get open no matter how you defend him. And then, the other guys have shown that they're ready for however you defend, because they can catch the ball and run sharp routes and break tackles as well. So it's a pretty good situation to be in for a Nease offense, because you're keeping defensive coordinators up at night.
It also seems one last question I want to talk to you before we talk about the games and our predictions. But one thing I want to ask you about is that since the Orange Park game, when Bryce came in as the starter, it seems like Coach Drafts has been able to really implement his playbook as an offensive coordinator, and I think he is one of the top, if not the top, offensive coordinator play callers in the area. My question for you, though, is when you look at from the Orange Park game with Bryce, and then you see DeMarco come back, it seems like the offense has stepped it up each week. They've been able to implement a little bit more of Draft's game plan. They've been getting more confident with each other. Like I said, DeMarco coming back, the offensive line gets the extra punch. They start spreading the ball out to different receivers. Do you think that that's a dangerous thing for a team playing Nease now? Because as they've been growing and you watch film on them and they're not in a single set and they're adding all kinds of razzle-dazzle and catch you off guard, is that a benefit for this Nease team right now going to the playoffs? I know it sounds like a crazy question, but I got to ask it because it just seems like they're different each week. They're getting better and better and better.
Oh, yeah, and Drafts is becoming more comfortable. He's trusting, his guys to be able to open up the playbook and, okay, I can turn to sheet 10, and really, really dig deep, really extend the way we play our offense, because they've got 4, it's a very veteran group in certain spots. You've got, the leadership there. You've got Cam and Bryce, and you've got 4 seniors on the offensive line, 4 of the 5. Yeah. So they've been playing together for a while, and that's one of those units where if you know what the guy and trust what the guy next to you is doing, and he knows what you're doing because you've been playing together for so long. That's where it all starts, is the offensive line. Every play kind of stems off of that. So it's just it's a chain effect. Then you got young guys like, Braden stepping up and KJ coming on, developing as the year goes. So that these pieces are just developing to go on with the leadership that you've already had there. And yeah, I think Drafts is probably his toolbox is growing in size. He's gaining compartments and all as he's gone. So, he's got to have. His eyes are wide open, smiling, because, that's an offensive coordinator's dream.
Yeah, and I think the trenches, you kind of hit on with the offensive line. I think the trenches are going to be key as we shift into talking about the postseason. But when they go up against Niceville, I think the key for the Panthers is going to be the trenches, and both the defensive side and the offensive side, because. You hear us talk about DeMarco Blackman, but Brandon Stout has had a fantastic season too. There's many times he's just been telling the defensive lineman, hey, just sit down, right? And then on the defensive side, you got Big Mo over there on one end. You got Noah Hillier on the other end wreaking havoc. And then, of course, you've got, we've talked about Noah Hodge, Jacob Curry, and all the other rest of the defense. But it really seems if Nease can control the line of scrimmage, and it's so cliche, I know, but in this game especially, and get pressure on the Niceville quarterback on the defensive side, they stand a good chance to win this game.
Oh yeah,
in my opinion, I don't want to put words in your mouth. That's my opinion.
No, yeah. No, I mean, I agree as well, because I was looking at Niceville, and they've got a heck of an offense.
Yes, they do. They put up a lot of points this year.
Yeah, they've scored over 60 in 3 games. I mean, so, and those aren't against those are pretty good teams they've beaten. I think they scored 60 against a 7-3 Navarre team and a 6-4 Leon team. Those are playoff or edge playoff teams. So I mean, it's not like they're doing this against 2-win teams. So they can move the ball. But yeah, I mean, like with any team, any level, if you start pressuring the quarterback and you kind of get in his headspace a little bit, where you're like, you have him thinking about who's rushing me next instead of like looking at his receivers and trying to read the field, and you get him to lower his eyes and worry more about what's coming at him instead of where he's going with it. I mean, that plays a role, and I think Nease's pressure in the backfield has really stepped up in recent weeks. And you pressure any quarterback, I mean, it's it's a recipe. That's the first step in a good recipe for success. Yeah.
And if they don't give up the big plays, and I kind of think if the defense does what the Creekside defense did to Ponte Vedra, where they're able to kind of disrupt their offensive flow, and in my opinion, I agree, because I looked and they've been putting up phenomenal points. But if this the way the offense has been going is the defense can come out and hold Niceville to 24, 27 points, I like Nease's chances in this. And plus, let's not forget, Niceville's driving almost 5 hours, I think.
Yeah,
5.5 hours. Yeah.
4.5,
About 5 hours. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a trip. I mean, and you also, you're going through time zones. I mean, so it's a tough trip either way, whether you're east going west or west, panhandle coming east. So you want to be the home team in that scenario.
Absolutely.
And it's been that way for years, and it's still the case.
So let's see. Nease will play number 2 Niceville. That's this Friday night. And then they will play the winner of Bartram and Navarre. Navarre's about 5.5 hours away. So I guess we kind of hope for a Bartram victory there, maybe, so we don't have to drive 5.5 hours, so we can keep everything at home for the Panthers. Yeah. But, and now we go over to Ponte Vedra. And I really like how Creekside played Ponte Vedra. Congratulations on their win. There's a part of me, Anthony, that I don't see them doing it 2 weeks in a row, because now Ponte Vedra has the film they studied for the game they lost, and now they got the film of the game they actually lost, or I should say the film leading up. But either way, they've got a lot of film on them. So there's Creekside. I understand that. But I think the defense, just knowing some of the guys over there, I think they're hungry. I think they're pissed off. And I just also think that Brian Case is going to have a big night, and I think it's going to open up Cole Madsen, Landon Oakland, the other receivers for Ponte Vedra, and I see Ponte Vedra coming away with a victory at the tank.
Yeah, I kind of see the same thing. I mean, I just don't. I've watched, we watched, Ponte Vedra all year, and I don't see this. This isn't a Ponte Vedra team that loses 3 in a row.
No.
They're just not. They don't have that, the makeup to do that. I think they're going to mentally bounce back and be like, we've lost close games the last couple of weeks. They were in both games. They could be, could have won both. So I mean, they know that it's not like they're getting blown out. They're in these games. It's just one play here or there, and I think they're just they're not used to this losing this year. So like I think they're going to be fed up and make sure we make those plays. Let's lock in and focus all the way through, and let's let's move on to the second round.
Now, the winner of that game is going to either travel to Buchholz if they win in their game against Mosley, who's the 8th seed, or they will host if Mosley's able to pull up a huge upset against Buchholz. The Buchholz team's good, man. They are good. But anyways, I think we're having some great playoffs. So are you going to do double duty again this weekend?
Oh, yeah. Double duty. Checking out some fun playoff action at both the Shark Tank and the Panther Den. So.
Well, listen, good luck to both teams across the area. Also, just a quick reminder, be sure to check out the Palm Valley Bobcats for their fundraiser for Lily Strohmeyer over at Hybrid. That is on November 19th. So you can check out their social media, PVA Bobcat Cheerleading, and they're on, I think they're on Facebook as well as Instagram. They have all the information there that goes to a good cause, as well as our St. John's Middle School playoffs get kicked off this Wednesday. Anthony, thanks again for joining us. And as always, if you want to get the latest and you want to get some great updates, check them out on X, formerly known as Twitter, ANTNY Rich. That's ANTNY Rich. And also his great articles over at the Ponte Vedra Recorder. So thanks again for joining tonight, Anthony.
Thanks for having me, Todd. It's always a pleasure.
And as always, thank you for listening. Please like and subscribe, and we will talk to you after this weekend's playoffs. Remember, the game is at Nease and Ponte Vedra, and tickets are available on GoFan. For Anthony Richards, I'm the Todd, and you have been listening to the 32081 Scoreboard Show.
Thank you for listening to the 32081. We hope you enjoyed today's episode.
I love the show, guys. You're awesome.
Please don't forget to subscribe to the show so you can join us for the next episode.
I never miss an episode. It's the best.
Until next time, take care.